The year is 121 AD, the heart of the Roman Empire. Marble gleams under the Mediterranean sun, and the air hums with the noise of 10,000 voices. You are a boy of noble birth, or perhaps a boy chosen by fortune, adopted into an imperial household. Either way, your destiny is no longer your own. From the moment you can walk, you are shadowed by tutors. A Greek philosopher teaches you logic and rhetoric, reciting the words of Aristotle and Plato as though they are prayers. A stern Roman general drills you in discipline, forcing your small hands to grip a wooden sword until your palms blister. Another tutor, a Stoic, makes you memorize the words of Seneca, words that sound noble, but feel hollow. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. But you are not allowed to waste anything, not time, not thought, not even your smile. Because you're not raised as a child, you're raised as a weapon. From the windows of the Palatine Hill you can see everything: the Roman Forum where senators in white togas argue over power while pretending loyalty. The Colosseum where blood and sand are traded for cheers. The temples of Jupiter, Juno, and Mars rising higher than the houses of men. You're told these are the pillars of Rome's gods, laws, and people. But even at your young age, you begin to notice the cracks. Whispers float through the halls of the palace: assassination, poison, betrayal. You overhear slaves speak in hushed voices about Emperor Domitian, murdered by his own servants only a generation ago. They tell tales of Caligula, struck down by the Praetorian Guard, of Claudius, said to have been poisoned by his own wife. These stories are not just lessons, they are warnings. In Rome, power is not inherited. It is taken. And it can be taken from you just as easily. At night, when the oil lamps burn low, you lie awake knowing that your tutors aren't raising you to be wise or good. They are raising you to be dangerous. To outthink, outlast, and outfight every man in the Senate who would see you dead. Because one day, the purple cloak of empire will fall across your shoulders, and when it does, you'll already understand the truth. In Rome, emperors aren't born, they're forged. The day of succession arrives. Rome trembles, not with joy, but with expectation. The Senate falls into the Curia Julia. Their faces masks of marble, their words are honey, but their eyes are daggers. They offer you the laurel crown not out of loyalty, but out of fear. They know that behind them, on the steps of the Forum, the Praetorian Guard stands in perfect formation, shields polished, spears gleaming. One by one, the legions across the empire swear their oaths: Hail Caesar! Hail Imperator! The sound rolls like thunder across the marble courtyards, but you know the truth: their loyalty is not to Rome, not even to you. It is to the gold that pays them. One missed payment, one insult, and the very men who raised you on their shields will cut you down. You wanted glory. What you got is a gilded cage. The purple cloak is heavy, the golden laurel itches against your brow. From this day forward, your every breath is watched, your every word weighed. You are the master of the known world and yet a prisoner of it. To rule Rome is not to live in peace. It is to live in constant survival. The people demand bread and circuses. You stand in the Colosseum, watching as gladiators bleed beneath the roar of 50,000 voices. You smile and wave, pretending the spectacle is for them, when in truth, it is for you. Their cheers drown out their hunger, their anger, their rebellion. A single festival can cost millions of sesterces, enough to bankrupt the treasury, but to refuse them is to invite riot. Better to starve your coffers than to starve the mob. The Senate must be managed too. You flatter them with offices and stipends, yet keep dossiers of their treachery close at hand. A careless senator may find his vineyard seized, his allies executed, his name erased from the records of damnatio memoria, the Roman curse of oblivion. And above all, the Praetorian Guard. They are your shield and your sword, but also your greatest threat. You remember the fate of Caligula, struck down by the very guard sworn to protect him. You know the stories of emperors auctioned off like cattle when the guard grew tired of them. Every banquet, every parade, every private chamber, their eyes are always on you. A loyal guard keeps you emperor, a disloyal one writes your epitaph. At night, When the torches die down and the laughter fades, you sit alone in your chamber on the Palatine Hill. Outside, the city hums, the empire stretches across 3 continents. And yet you feel the iron bars of your invisible prison. You are the most powerful man in the world, and you cannot trust a single soul within it. The golden life by day, you are a god. By night, a prisoner of your own glory. The Palatine Hill is your kingdom of marble and gold. Your halls drip with mosaics of Poseidon's horses. Ceilings crusted with jewels that glitter in torchlight. Courtyards overflow with fountains and peacocks strutting between olive trees. In your dining halls, banquets last until dawn. Platters of roasted peacock, dormice rolled in honey, flamingo tongues drowned in spiced wine. Senators and generals flatter you with every bite. Their laughter rehearsed. Their loyalty as thin as the linen on the couches they recline upon. You raise men to the highest ranks with a word. A senator kneels before you in the morning as a nobody and leaves as consul by sunset. But the same gesture can erase a man from history, or raised hand, and he is dragged screaming to execution. Such is the Roman way. Vita et mors in manu Caesarus, life and death in the emperor's hand. The people marvel at your generosity. Nero once built the Domus Aurea, the golden house, its ceilings revolving like the stars, perfumed fountains misting the air. Caligula filled his palace with jewels and demanded worship as a living god. Domitian lined the corridors with mirrors, not for vanity, but so he could spot assassins creeping behind him. You walk the same halls, with the same power and the same fear. For even in this empire of splendor, every shadow hides a knife. You drink from golden goblets, but only after slaves taste each sip for poison. Food tasters chew each bite before you dare to touch it. You sleep on silk sheets, but always with guards at your door, guards who may one day be the ones to kill you. At the baths, at the theater, at the games, the cheers of the crowd echo like thunder, but you can't help hearing it differently. Every roar of approval might be the roar that drowns the sound of your own murder. You've seen it before. Emperors stabbed in alleys, strangled in their beds, poisoned by their wives, betrayed by their friends. Your life is golden, yes, but the gold is gilded over iron chains. The enemies within the Senate hails you as princeps, first among equals, but you know the truth. You are not their equal. You are their master and their target. Every banquet, every Senate meeting, every whispered conversation in the marble halls of the Curia feels like a trap. The senators bow low, but their eyes burn with envy. The generals salute, but their hands rest too easily on their swords. Even your family, the ones who should guard your bloodline, scheme in silence. In Rome, ambition is thicker than blood. You cannot forget history. Julius Caesar, adored by the people, stabbed 23 times by the very senators who called him father. Caligula, a god in his own mind, cut down by the Praetorian Guard in his own palace, his body left rotting in an alley. Commodus, drunk with delusions of gladiatorial glory, strangled in his bath by a wrestler paid to do what Rome dared not say aloud. Every emperor asks the same question: will I be remembered as Augustus, who built an empire, or as Commodus, who nearly destroyed it? And so paranoia becomes your shadow. You change your food tasters often, lest they be bought. You order the execution of friends who once swore eternal loyalty, because their smiles look too sharp. You exile nephews, brothers, even wives, fearing that their ambition rivals your own. You surround yourself with statues of gods, but you pray most often to Fortuna, the goddess of luck, because luck may be the only thing keeping you alive. The throne, gilded and glorious, is also the loneliest seat in the world. When you sit upon it, the roar of the Colosseum feels distant, the triumphs hollow. Your crown is not made of laurel, it is made of daggers, each one pointed at your back. The laurel crown weighs heavier with each passing year. What once felt like triumph now feels like a curse. At night, the marble ceilings of your palace press down like tombstones. Sleep never comes easily. You wake to phantom sounds, the scrape of a dagger, the whisper of assassins in the corridor. Every knock at the door makes your heart seize. Is it a servant with wine, or a Praetorian with orders? Omens stalk you. You dream of burning temples, rivers of blood, the gods turning their faces away. Roman priests read the entrails of sacrificed animals and tell you the signs are uncertain, but You already know. The gods are finished with you. Power corrodes differently for every emperor. Caligula declared himself a living god and dressed as Apollo, demanding senators kiss his feet. Domitian had the walls of his palace lined with mirrors so he could see assassins coming from behind. Commodus fought in the Colosseum, believing himself Hercules reborn, while the empire rotted around him. And you find yourself talking to shadows, debating with ghosts of men you killed, seeking counsel from the silence because you can no longer trust the living. Meanwhile, the empire groans under your weight. Taxes rise to pay for your games, your palaces, your endless wars. In the provinces, rebellions flare like sparks. Gaul restless, Judea in revolt, legions on the Rhine and Danube straining against barbarian invasions. The frontier bleeds while Rome feasts. Senators whisper that the empire is too large, too stretched, too fragile. But the greatest crack isn't in the empire. It's in you. The boy raised to rule is gone. The man crowned in glory has vanished. What's left is a shell of a prisoner in purple robes. You conquered the world, but lost yourself. You ruled the greatest empire on earth. Senators bowed, legions obeyed. And your word carried more weight than the law itself. You lived in marble palaces, dined on flamingo tongues, and played at being a god. But in the end, you died as all men do, alone, afraid, and uncertain of how history will remember you. Tell me, would you have seized the purple crown, knowing it would likely cost you your soul, your sanity, and perhaps your life, or would you have turned away, letting another bleed for power in your place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe, because Rome holds countless untold stories still waiting to be brought to life.